guess I'll just start the videos here because there's not really a good place to start. There's a couple ways, sure. There's always worse ways to start something. But for the topic here, and this is impromptu, there's no planning whatsoever, there's nothing looking into, there's nothing to look into. I did not say that clearly. But it's people's response to MGTOW. My personal response to MGTOW. I mean, you could just replace a few words here and there, and you should still get the meaning. But I am mostly talking about myself here because I've taken a lot of time, 2 to 3 years. Actually, it's probably 3 to 4 years now at this point. Yeah. Just because, okay, let me make something clear here. Every person's recovery process after like a midlife crisis or after a breakup, a nasty breakup, or something else happening where you just kind of fall apart, it's going to look differently for everyone. MGTOW, I believe, from as best as my understanding is, it comes from the results of those who end up hating their exes or men, or it could be specific individuals or specific groups. And politics and laws were put into place to, under the guise of helping women that actually end up hurting them or hurting men or both. And so the changes in society and culture today, you can see if you actually look. If you don't look, you're not going to see anything. You have to actually be active in this area for you to look. But my thoughts on this are complicated because I try to look at the person, not actually at the bigger picture. So, in other words, when it comes down to it, I can't just simply say, yes, I support it, or no, I don't support it, because that's not on an individual level, if that makes any sense at all. Turn real quick here, since people are turning. Look, I think MGTOW, men going their own way, I think it is completely necessary. I do not like it, but it is necessary, it is important, because of the lashing, the feedback, the issues and problems that have popped up that need to be dealt with that are not dealt with. And as far as other things go, MGTOW it's one of those answers or solutions that exist because there's nothing better. And that is a problem in and of itself. Because since things are affected all the way to the law, or laws in this case, there's a lot that simply cannot be changed without everyone noticing at this point in time. This is 2021, almost 2022, since it's like a couple days away from December. And I'm trying to figure out where to go from here, like from this point in the topic to the next point. There's a lot of men who have different stories, ranging from broken relationships where things broke and fallen apart, to actively being used, to like being used as resources, as ATMs, as some people would put, as some men would put. There's very, very few women that ever come out and openly support this, unless they actively see the damage that it is causing in the men's lives around them. But most women don't look at men or their lives that they're living unless it directly affects them. And it gives a very skewed outlook on life, as well as the issues that are there in front of you. And since people are generally influenced by medication and feelings, you just put that under biology in general. Everyone's viewpoints and feelings and all that, they change. They change on a regular basis, and that's just kind of that's just a fact of life at this point. But MGTOW itself, I think, came directly from rampant feminism. I usually use the word rampant just to kind of show how things have changed and gotten worse. Because there are, as one of my friends said, and this was he's a quadriplegic, and he's a really awesome guy who has done quite a bit in his life. He goes by GB Bins on Xbox. He lives over in the UK. Great guy. Him and his friend helped me in 2017 with trying to find ways to recover from a personal situation. But he opened my eyes to the fact that people's lives are different, and he went on to go talk about some of his friends and some of what they've had to deal with. If you don't get, if other people do not press upon you their life story, you're going to be very skewed and slanted and coming at things from your own point of view. You're not going to get more of a complete picture of just how big this topic is and how many people have been affected and, well, how things have ended up turning out to be. This isn't simply, oh, men who hate women or women who hate men. I believe MGTOW was started by those who hate their exes and those who hate men, not just simply under the guise of equality. However, if it did start by equality, it has evolved to something far worse than just simply wanting to be equal or treated equally or to have equal rights, that sort of thing. It has evolved far beyond that. Now, I see this issue only getting worse because the amount of broken homes, the amount of missing fathers, that has only ever increased. Excuse me, the gentleman wants me to move, and he's trying to get gas or something. Alright. There's just a lot more issues and problems that are popping up here that need to be dealt with. And frankly, MGTOW is one of those responses that, from what I've seen, people, this isn't a movement, but it really feels like it with the way, it seems like it too, with the amount of people who have changed and all the information, the stories, all that is coming online, like people talking about it, posting about it. It's gotten to the point, and it's been a few months into this, but you can see the censorship from YouTube and Facebook with accounts being deleted, shadow banning, a lot of sensitivity. I should say oversensitivity, because that's an issue. The fact that you can't, that people are being limited by what they can say and what they can speak out about. This also ties in with political parts and aspects too, about the left and the right. I don't know more. I don't really know how that ties in, but I do know it ties along with everything with censorship. I tried making a post for an apartment, and I was simply unable to use the word male to describe roommates. And I was a bit shocked, because that, I've never seen anything like that before, and I've seen other advertisements on Craigslist with female, the word female on there. So why the word male would be censored, I don't know. Anyway, back to the topic here, since I do have a tendency of drifting away when making these side points, even if they are important. It can be a very uncomfortable topic to discuss, but it is one that's only going to grow in the future, and people need more than one viewpoint to get a better understanding of what it is. And it seems like the media and some of the women who are very angry over this, because more women than men are angry over MGTOW, and therefore you really only hear one side. And when you try to look for the other side, it's covered up, it's hidden, it's deleted in some cases. Granted, men who are speaking about their experiences and being angry about it, it's hard to be sympathetic. I am specifically thinking of Hammerhand when I say that. His account has been deleted quite a few times, and he tends to be a bit more on the angry side when it comes down to YouTubers who talk about MGTOW. Even still, they raise some very good points, especially when they talk about their own life story. You know, you can get offended all you want when someone talks about their own life story, but like, that's them. You have almost nothing to do with that person or their story at all. You're just merely a listener. But even still, how you communicate to other people is incredibly important, and it will show. I mean, this is specifically talking about for the speaker, not the listener. I mean, there's different skills when it comes down to speaking and communicating, and then just simply listening. This is YouTube. Listening would be having the person who made these videos come back and like interact and comment and check up on replies and stuff like that. That's basically as far as it goes. Unless you're doing like unless you're having multiple speakers and you're recording a conversation, then you can actually watch that in action. Anyway, moving on here, since I'm closing up here. Men, from my understanding, MGTOW was always about men improving themselves to the point where they can either go back to relationships with better understanding and knowledge, or they can just choose to keep walking their own way. If marriage is going to be weaponized, and that is something that is a legit concern, then you need to take action appropriately. Not just simply spew out your anger and rage onto those around you or onto other women. Simply lumping all men or all women together under one group because of something that happened in your past, it's understandable, but it's going to have its own consequences. It could boil down to simply roommates. It could be boiling down to how you treat the other sex in general or the same sex. I mean, I grew up believing, me personally, I grew up believing that all men were perpetrators, all women were victims, sex was evil, and that basically I was trash. So that's wrong. All of them are wrong, in fact. Men can be victimized. Men can be victims. And frankly, hearing about these stories is not something that people generally they generally don't look for people who've been victimized unless they're trying to like come up with like cases or, you know, to point fingers and to blame, or just simply looking for experience, like if they're trying to look for answers or something. That's pretty much about it on my topic there. And there's probably a couple things I forgot about, but I was trying to keep this impromptu but short as well. So hopefully this helps you guys understand. If you're going to approach this topic, or if it's just handed to you, find ways to better handle this, or else someone will, and you're going to be left sticking to deal with the aftermath. That's not something that you want, I can promise you that. Come to this topic on your own terms and not let someone else dictate it to you. Anyway, have a good day. Talk to you guys later.